Good evening, friends. Thank you for joining Candid Meena every evening to follow what's happening in India and abroad. And thank you for sending me your useful comments and suggestions. If you believe in this channel, do hit the like button, share with friends, and spread the message. Our only mission is to bring you the truth at both sides of the story. Thank you for your support. We have Mayur Kalbag back with us, and welcome, Mayur. Today
after
we have
after
an eerie topic.
after after a long time,
Yeah, yeah,
compared to the earlier regularity with which I used to come on, but
yeah,
sometimes things happen.
yeah.
So anyway, but I'm back. So good to and good evening to all the family members of Candid Meena and the new people who are joining in. And
Yeah.
Meena, thanks again for believing in me and you know putting me in that position where I can share and I can invoke. More than sharing and trying to just, I always put the caveat. I'm not some expert, but I share from what I believe and
Yeah,
absorb. But I think this becomes a lovely energy point for people also to start feeling and sharing what they feel. I mean, I like that
correct.
part
Yeah,
where others come in with their perspective. It's not like, oh, Mayur Kalbag is here, so we'll just watch. No, there's so many who want to sort of, put in their perspectives. And that, I think, vibrates the entire session, which is what I
absolutely.
like.
Yeah. So today we have a very interesting session.
Yeah.
It's something that everybody says in hushed voices, but it's something that's happening in society, and it happens all over the world. We're talking about the satanic culture and the
Mm,
satanic rites. So,
mm,
as I think most of you know that the Church of Satan worships Satan, and it's most clearly symbolized by Lucifer, the Roman god, the bearer of light. And
mm,
Satan is not visualized, as a being. Rather, he represents the forces of nature. And to a Satanist, the self is the highest form, of embodiment. So that's one thing. How I got introduced to it, Mayur. See, I wasn't
mm,
much believer in all these things. See, when I
mm,
was doing my, sort of articles, different articles, I
mm,
was delving into psychology as well, and doing an article on multiple personalities.
mm,
So I was told that there's a reverend in Bangalore who actually cures people with split personalities, multiple
mm,
personalities, a German priest.
mm,
So he invited me to come. He had a huge house, a bungalow, where he would, keep all these people together. And so when you go there, you feel a little odd because nobody is really normal in that sense. Okay. So
yeah.
I told him that, see, I'm actually not talking about split personalities, but I'm talking about multiple personalities. You see, like I don't know whether you would have read the book Sybil sometime back. There was a movie as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I decided. So he said, yes, we have one such person. Her name is Dinah, and she comes from Australia, and she's been through it, and she had about 14 personalities, out of which a few have merged and become part of her.
Mm,
Now, so then he introduced me to this Australian lady, blue eyes and very skinny looking, almost like a boy. And so immediately she told me we'll go and sit in the garage, a huge space.
mm,
So we went and
mm,
sat in the garage. And when we sat in the garage, there was an accountant there who was also
mm,
working. Now this accountant had an extra finger, like the Hrithik Roshan one.
mm,
So, I was just watching him, and somehow this lady was feeling very, very uncomfortable. So I told her, "Are you okay?" So she said, "No, no, I'm not comfortable in front of this man. So we can move to another place." So again, we shifted, and sat somewhere else.
mm,
Now, I'll cut the story short. So amid the sessions, uh, I realized that I went to her doctor as well. I realized that, she had different personalities. She would become a boy at times, take a motorbike and go, stop at a place and smoke,
mm,
and would even
mm,
look at women, the way men looked
mm,
at women, things like that, And then sometimes she would become the mother, and at that time she would get immense, strength. She would lift the table, a
mm,
huge
mm,
table, and she would throw it on people. So that's the kind of strength she had. and so different personalities within her.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
when I started getting closer to the truth about what happened, was that when she was a small baby,
Mm,
almost small kid in Australia,
mm,
her father's, their neighbor was
mm,
into satanic rites,
mm,
and they used to do these rituals, and they would use her.
mm,
And though she was a small kid, she remembered, terrible torture, and she would remember that she would move out of her body. So it was an
mm.
out of body experience, and she
Yeah.
would see these people doing that. And that's
Right.
how, these number of personalities came within
Sure.
her,
Mm,
And then
mm,
you have
mm,
good people like the Reverend who was actually trying to integrate the people. So
mm,
when I met her, she was into only 9%.
mm.
So
Wow.
that's when I
Mm.
realized the harm that such rituals, can
Yeah.
have, and how what do you say, depraved people get together and do this to children. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Can you see me right now?
yeah, I can see.
All right. All right. Okay. Great. Um, so can I come in and share some
Yeah, please,
thoughts, Meena?
please, please. No,
Hmm.
it's all yours from now. Yeah,
Okay. No. Cool. Cool. All good. It's ours from now. It's ours from now.
yeah,
Um, I have, the first time I heard, not the first time, one of the first times I heard the word Satan was not as a Satan, but as satanic. If
yeah,
you remember, in the 1980s, if I'm not mistaken, or
yeah,
90s, there was a book that came out written by Salman Rushdie called The Satanic Verses. All right.
yes,
That's when it hit me that, oh, and I was a kid, school or college, and it was very controversial, right? That's why we all were aware of it. It was banned. But if I just bring myself into the subject matter, I was just trying to tell you how I first got to hear of it. I've looked at this particular session, Meena, bifocally. Like, one is in terms of cults, and then the other is in terms of the satanic cults, or the satanic aspect of the cults. Now, if you remember, looking at the word cult, because that's, I think, the foundation, and then there are satanic cults and this and that. If you remember, there was this particular cult called the Om Shinrikyo. You remember? Okay. And Asahara, if I'm not mistaken, because I am not going by the Google thing, I'm going by what I had heard in the news at that point of time. And it was it was very infamous because they had put in sarin gas in one of the compartments or in the train, and it was all based on their conviction and belief that Asahara was the really enlightened one, and the way towards attaining enlightenment for everybody was doing something like that, is taking lives for them. And therefore, Meena, when I'm in this session, I'm when I was thinking, okay, what am I going to talk about, and probably share my own perspectives, Meena, it's about the fact that for me, Satan is, if you look at it, it also sounds like Shaitan,
mhm,
Satan, and it has a very, it's very negative for me personally because of what I've seen, what I've heard. So one is this Om Shinrikyo, which is a cult, and that cult following. So cult is where a group will obviously come and they'll very stringently follow their master, and it's almost like a dictate, that this is what it is, you got to do. And whatever I've heard about those cults, they all, unfortunately, they stink of stuff which is, like you said, that girl who had to go through some rituals, and these
yes,
are rituals which are torturous. Now, I
yeah,
have seen an interview some time back, because I keep, YouTubing and stuff, and I want to listen to what happens around the world, what's happening with all this. And I remember watching a documentary about a girl called Teresa in
okay,
Australia,
yeah,
and I think it's Australia or one of the places, yeah.
yeah,
And the kind of tortures that she was put through, okay, by her own grandmother, who was part of a cult.
yeah,
And one of the tortures was, and it sounds really sickening, was the sex part, and not only with humans. Okay, it's that bad, and it was
mhm,
all done on the basis of a conviction or a belief
mhm,
so bad that by doing that, it'll help that particular group to attain whatever enlightenment. in fact, not only enlightenment, I mean, enlightenment is too big a word, appeasing the Satan, appeasing that entity which the followers or the cult leader would say, Meena, that if we want to attain something like peace of mind, bliss, heaven, etc., then we have to please the person who's the head, and that head would be the Satan, or that whatever they would call as. And the
Your voice. We can't hear you. Can you just check your audio? Not coming. Can you hear him, people? Viewers, can you hear? No, I think you're on mute. Can you rejoin, Mayur? Can you rejoin, Mayur? Yeah. Okay, friends, I think there was a slight problem with his audio, so he should be back. See, one thing you should also know that in these such rituals, they also use drugs and narcotics, to enhance the experience. Okay, I'll just wait for him to join. Yeah, yeah, fine. Yes, Mayur?
yeah, you can hear me now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, maybe there was something. I'll just continue because I just want to make that point that the horrific, in the name of appeasement of that entity, which, like I said, they would call it anything, but for me, Satan, it represents something that's negative, something that people may use it to do things which are horrific in the name of attaining some kind of enlightenment. And there are so many cults like that, Meena, across the world. The Om Shinrikyo was an eye opener for me to understand that here's a person who has inspired people to put in poisonous gas in the trains, and they're killing. In the other instance, which I spoke about Teresa, um, so the person asks, what about sacrifices? Would they do only animals? And she said, not just animals, even human sacrifices. So it was later believed that there were mass murders, right? Human sacrifices. That is the unfortunate, the power of a cult, that they can mesmerize, hypnotize, and make people do things which is completely unbelievable and unimaginable. And that's exactly what you were talking about in some sense, where you spoke about this girl who probably went through so much of mental trauma that she created her own multiple personalities to probably shake away the trauma.
Yes, yes.
And that's why it happens. The brain up in such a way. I mean, technically, how is it possible for somebody to have so many multiple personalities? But sometimes the damage creates that effect. And imagine the kind of trauma that it has in different degrees on people who have been part of such cults. My only thing is, and in my submission, I would say that I haven't really, I mean, I've got to hear about cults more, not in India as much as in abroad, yeah, in places outside, Europe and stuff, and Satan probably is a little more connected to another faith and not the faith that we are part of, which is where I come from. And I invite other people to probably add in more perspectives. But I just thought I'll make the beginning by talking to you about this the cults that I was exposed to, and it shocked me. There are many more in US. The Texas, there was a cult. You remember he burnt the whole thing down. There were mass
Yeah.
suicides.
Yes.
There are cults who are apocalyptic,
Yeah.
and they talk about the end of the days, the end of the world. So yeah, that's probably where I put a comma to what I had to say.
Yeah. Yeah. So, see, in Hollywood, if you would have noticed, a lot of the movies, some of the producers
Hmm.
actually took the trouble to expose, these
Hmm.
cults. You would have
Yeah.
seen, like, in Eyes Shut. I think it was Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I believe that producer director has actually done many more films exposing, this kind of
Yeah.
cults, and which are actually very very closed door. Nobody really
Right.
knows that happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
uh, just a question here is that this Freemasons, is it very similar to what?
I think I've heard of Freemasons, and see, it's a very secretive group of people who are supposed to be in control of the world. They're controlling certain very powerful businesses and banks and finances across the world. See, Meena, when it comes to such things, it's very difficult to put a finger and say that's a cult or that isn't a cult. At the same time, it's a thin line to assume that every following is negative. So there could be a group of people who are really doing something towards attaining enlightenment or towards evolving themselves spiritually, and they may not be doing it in a way which we just talked about, and yet they could be very secretive. um, Maybe their meditational practices are such which they may not be talking about. See, for example, even the Aghoris, for example, Meena, are understood to be perceived from the outside as a cult, like a group of yogis who do things which are perceivably very bad, and they'll eat stuff, etc. So it's a perception, isn't it?
Yeah.
So even groups like Freemasons and others, the Satanic followers, it's a plethora of different types of groups of beliefs, groups of people following beliefs. The Aghori sadhus have their group which believes in a particular way of attaining Shivatva, right? So I could call it not a negative cult. It is a group which has a culture of doing things in a particular way. So that's how I look at these different types of groups, Meena. But yes,
Yeah.
because this theme today is satanic, I think, and of course, I see a comment also coming in from, I think, Maharani Devi as well. So that is another angle I would have brought in later as well. The the following of occult practices, especially by certain cults who believe in Satan.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah, and it's said that what these cults do is that they
Mm.
when they recruit people, they
Yeah.
do in the sense that they choose impressionable age,
Yes.
you know a
Yes.
young
Yes.
impressionable age, because they can be easily sort of brainwashed, into
Right.
thinking,
Right.
and following their patterns.
Yeah. I just
So
want to. I think I'm seeing a comment by Mr. N.R. Srinivasan, and I just want to sort of
that's
quickly
Savitri.
respond.
Yeah, Savitri, your voice. Uh, Yes, can you hear Mayur? Is it only me? No voice. Can you rejoin?
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
we
I
can hear
just
you.
changed the settings. Sorry about this. As I said, I'm a dinosaur when it comes to technology, but I'm learning now pretty
Yeah.
quickly. I was just responding to Savitri. Yes, Aghoris absolutely don't kill. Please don't get that in your head. What I meant was the perception from outside is Aghoris are those who don't kill, but they eat, human flesh, or they drink a lot. And I think I have had sessions with Meena about talking
So,
about them.
yeah,
We
yeah.
know what they are. We know they're believers of Shiva, but perceptions that, oh, theirs is a cult, and they even call them cannibals and all, which is shockingly untrue. But similarly,
Yes.
there are other groups which are maybe Catholic groups, and in their own way, they follow certain ways of worshiping Jesus or Mother Mary, and that could be a specific following, and that could be a cult. What I mean here is, Meena, is cults are not all who are disturbing and they are pathetically bad, but most of the people cults that are spoken about because they practice all these things. That was what I was saying.
Aparna, the Ku Klan was actually a racist clan, who wanted to harm the uh,
It was a white
Yeah,
supremacy.
Afro Americans.
uh, yeah, so they always believed in the fact that white means they are at a higher level of whatever spirituality or attaining enlightenment, or the Lord, and the blacks, the colored ones, were beneath. The same thing is what happened with Hitler, right? He always believed in that. That's
Yeah,
why he did what he did, the massacre. Um, so yeah, so that's what it is.
yeah, yeah. I think, see, if you look at the bulk of Hollywood movies, without Lucifer, I don't think
Yeah.
they could make any movies. Substantial movies are made purely on Lucifer, whether it's, on a lighter note or whether it's on a, sort of a eerie note. Lucifer has always been there
Yeah.
to tell you that,
uh,
see, either he can take you the wrong way, in a lighter way as well.
right. But the subject has got many. It opens up into different dimensions, Veena. For example, I'm seeing certain comments. Okay, Maharani Devi. Is that Savitri? Okay, is that
Savitri is N.R. Srinivas.
okay? So Maharani Devi says maybe the Satan is playing with my microphone. Well, the Satan doesn't know that I'm more of a shaitan when it comes to destroying the Satan. So don't worry. but but yeah, acha, Karthik just says Agoris are only strong personalities and not more than that. Probably more real humans than us. Absolutely, and more probable in their experience of life. Absolutely, it's just that people have misunderstood them and have concocted and created and imagined things which they know will have more eyeballs towards what these people talk about.
Yeah.
Veena, the reason why I wrote the book as well, I mean, I'm not trying to bring the book here, or when I wanted to express myself, and there are some who write about it, is because the 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 following or the group that believes in Shiva and follows something different doesn't mean that they're bad. They're in fact, like Karthik very rightly said, they're very primal. They're probably more human than us. So yeah, I wanted to bring in one aspect about when we talk about cults, is that in many of the things that I read, rituals are typically performed. Okay, rituals, and a lot of these rituals are are bordering on, or they get into black magic, and that's why the sacrifices happen. Because again, this is where I think there is a little bit of that. That this can be in the Indian context as well.
Yeah.
You know that there are certain temples where sacrifices are made, but animal only. In fact, even in our Hindu tradition, we don't. There is this aspect of not sacrifice but offering, and we don't really do real offerings of animals. We do it in the form of that which is a metaphor for an animal sacrifice. So we'll put rice, we'll put kumkum on that and stuff, so that it's a way of offering it to the Lord. But in cults, the real sacrifices also happen. And like I was telling you about this Australian cult, where Teresa, from the age of 2, she was adopted, and she went through such horrendous things. One of which was she was witness to even human sacrifices. So a lot of black magical aspects, I feel, get connected to such kind of cults, and the main objective is to, according to them, is to please that high master. And you've seen many movies that come out and they show that as well, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yes.
that's what I want to say.
Also, in a lot of rituals happening in Hollywood, they do indirectly get this
Mhm.
sort of human sacrifice into it. We've seen that in in some of the events where these high profile singers and dancers and actresses and all are called, where they actually show you a dummy of a body, and
Mhm.
then that's cut apart, and then actual, see, I don't know, they must be mixing something in to show that it's blood, and then they partake of that. That
Mhm.
itself is very similar to a ritual that these
Mhm.
people perform. So
Mhm.
indirectly, somewhere we feel, Hollywood, there are people who practice it, and also, uh, perhaps they also incite people to be a part of it, to
Yeah.
be, to belong. For example, in Bollywood, if you don't
Mhm.
do certain things, you don't belong to the cabal.
Yeah.
Okay. Here
Exactly.
also in Hollywood, if you do not, you know, get invited to these parties, and if you do not partake in
Mhm.
these, with
Mhm.
your free will, then you are, an outcast.
True. True. True.
Yeah.
True.
And
Absolutely.
we've seen many,
See.
see, if you look at some of the pop singers' songs,
Yeah.
you'll see that, was it Kate Perry, where they have songs where she's actually, in a tub, and people are eating off her like that, so it's
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
very crazy.
Yeah. See, it I think stems from the fact that I think Karthik definitely respond to him as well. But just to add a little value to your point, Meena, um, I believe that see, a cult comes out of, or this thing that you spoke about, it comes out of the desperation to be successful.
Yeah.
Like you want to do something which will influence your career. Now this happens everywhere. No? For us, it's different. We would do a Satyanarayana puja and pray that please, make the environment positive. Let us get success. For example, if there are parents who want the kid to grow up and become a good human being and study well, they'll do a puja. They'll go to a temple. That is how we do it. But there are instances, because I think there it isn't as structured in terms of rituals. See, today, if you look at it, when a person die, if a person passes away here, we do the 11-day, 13-day puja and everything, right? Now, I'm not here to differentiate and discriminate, but if you look at when a person passes away in another faith like Christianity, they do that. They go to the church, they pray to Lord. The vidhis, the rituals are maybe different. They're not the same here. So I think you read that as well about Biden. So, well,
So true.
I'm not going to respond to that right now. But there was a question from Karthik about the Kali Mata. Is it that she's projected with her tongue out, violent looking, um, and then he's asking whether that's like a cult or something. I don't think so. She see, and they're not black magicians who go there and say, "Hey, let me add more attributes to my black magic talents and all." It doesn't work that way. Kali Mata is a representation of that goddess, and
Yeah.
she's the
And she
aggressive
comes in that form
representation.
only when she wants to take revenge.
Absolutely, to destroy the bad, and she'll come and she'll give it back.
Mm.
In fact, she's anti-Satan.
Yeah.
She's the anti-Satan. And therefore, when you go and pray to Kali Mata, what I've understood is you feel a sense of positive aggression. She
Yeah.
gives you. She's supposed to infuse within you a lot of courage and
Yeah.
fearlessness to fight the negativity within you, actually, and then maybe the outside. So that's how I look at Kali Mata, and she's held the she's shown to be holding, sorry, the head, the beheaded thing of a demon. That is a metaphor that she will help you to destroy the demons within your mind. That's how I'll respond to Karthik's question.
See,
So yeah.
somewhere, as you know that we are
Mm.
told that the world is controlled by the deep state, a few
Yeah.
individuals who want to control the world, and
Mm.
they also say that the Nazis,
Mm.
had some sort of a flag which uh, which was had some symbols of the occult. Okay, and that is
Yeah.
the same symbol that you can find in the Ukrainian Azov army. Okay,
Okay.
so
Okay.
and who is controlling Zelensky? Zelensky is being controlled by Soros, and Soros is a
Mm.
part of the deep state, and
Mm.
he's the one who's also been behind the farmers' agitation, the Shaheen Bagh, the Delhi riots, everything that's and he's also now behind Putin, and also he was the one behind Trump as well, the Black Cause.
Mm.
So
Mm.
somewhere, these people are also using the occult.
Yeah.
I don't know for what reason, whether they
Mm.
actually indulge in it or it is to
Mm.
frighten people. You know, uh, of course, they are called the Illuminati, and the Illuminati have very, strange symbols. Like the single eye. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. When I was in Fiji Islands, and I was living in Suva, and this is not a negative statement. I'm just giving an observation. I never knew that there were so many beautifully well organized cults or groups following Lord Jesus in through different principles. I never knew that there are so many ways. Like what I knew was the Catholics, the Protestants, typically, right? That too I came to know later. And that's okay, all cool. I'm just saying there are so many varied ways of following towards reaching that higher force, but they have that flexibility to create their own cult, and they'll go and do their own prayers. And that's why I say that I personally believe that uh, it's easy to get trapped into believing that a cult means something wrong. It
yeah,
isn't. But that's why I like the fact that you called it this session or this particular podcast satanic cults, because it's where the there's an influence, or there's this awakening, unfortunate awakening, that we have to do things which are negative and torturous, and that is the only way that God, who is a Satan, will be happy. That's, I think, what triggers. And the other thing, like you said, is sometimes people do all horrendous things for their own growth, their own greed. So when you talk about George Soros, I think that's the person you're talking about.
yeah.
Okay, who is huge in terms of he's controlling economies, etc. You think he's not alone? A group of people, group of minds. Now you call them the Freemasons. I don't know, because I can't sort of confirm all that. But I know that
The new
individual
order,
has got a new. Sorry,
the new order.
the new order, the new normal. Yeah, and my point is, see, this is not a podcast, Meena, for me to only talk about that. I'm talking about how we as humans, how we can identify, recognize, and
Yeah.
absorb the
One thing I'll
positive
tell you.
aspects.
Yeah. See here, let me just interrupt you a bit.
Sure, sure.
Mayur, see, for example, uh, they say that Biden suddenly said, he has to be eliminated, Putin. Okay.
Hmm.
Then they tried to soften it up or change it or whatever.
Hmm.
Then he also called him a butcher. Okay. If you look
Hmm.
at these words, when Modi was in Gujarat, okay,
Hmm.
uh, who called him Motka Saudagar?
Hmm.
Sonia Gandhi called him Motka Sagataka. I'm
Hmm.
just talking
Hmm.
about the links. Okay.
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah,
Now,
yeah,
whenever you see someone who's very, very strong, you can
yeah,
sense that he's going to grow into a very powerful personality who's going to make a lot of good changes in the world, good or bad, whatever,
yeah, yeah,
and that might harm your mission. Okay. So that's why at that time they tried their best to curtail Modi, Amit Shah. Okay. Same thing now, they are petrified of the way Putin is going.
yeah,
And they believe that they have to use all their forces to control him,
yeah.
and now, see, they said that they don't want a war, but now looks like they
Hmm.
want an all-out war
Hmm.
because See, in Ukraine, people are no more there. Everybody's just run off. So
Yeah.
you want to destroy a country, you know?
Mm,
And when the president himself is hiding in some sort of bunker, or maybe in a country like Poland, what sort
mm,
of a leader is he? I mean, a captain who abandons the ship. Now, see, these people are all dummies. These are all controlled by people. If you look at the funny thing is that, see, how it all comes, Mayur, is that, see, when a country has a lot of resources,
mm,
you know,
mm.
that's when you need to control it. Whether it was Iraq
Yeah.
or Syria, and then
Yeah.
you talk about Libya, and then you talk about now Ukraine, which is very rich, in so many resources. So the whole,
Absolutely.
what do you say, the American family with their families are all settled there and having gas companies and what companies, whatnot. So it's
Absolutely.
it's all facade to control.
Absolutely. When you were talking about the present situation that's happening in Ukraine and between Russia, Ukraine, now it's hopefully it should expand further. It reminded me of, and what Biden said, it reminded me of what they did with Iraq, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, they actually created the war, and they on the assumption, right, that he
Yeah.
had nuclear weapons, which he didn't. He had the facilities, but he didn't. And but they created that because it was all, I believe it was all about control,
Yeah.
greed, control. And because, like you said, they have the resources, they were able to really create the war, create the unrest. And they have left, when I look at the way the ISIS happened, thank God it's gone. But it's all because of something that kick-started somewhere.
Yeah, and who created the ISIS? It was
Yeah.
purely created by
Of
America,
course.
by Hillary Clinton, by Obama,
And this will
and
not
who was,
happen with Putin. This will
yeah,
not happen with Putin at all.
yeah, and
Because
who did
Putin
they
is
get
not,
to,
he's not, yeah,
yeah, and who did they get to sort of, take their, what do you say, their anger on? Who did they try to destroy? It was the Hindu, tribes in Iraq, and these young girls
yeah,
were butchered. They were
yeah, yeah,
savage, they were raped, they were butchered because they didn't care for them. If they were Islamic, they would not have touched them.
absolutely, absolutely. So, when I'm listening to this and, this has widened, no, and it's still
Hmm.
contextualized into cults. So some people, are influencers to the so-called visibly powerful people. Like when I see these great so-called leaders when they talk, in the United States, they look like they're puppeted. They're puppets to something that they have to say, and I just hope that it doesn't go beyond. But it all starts with this cultish feeling. I believe that it sounds a little bit like a movie thing, but what is going on in the inside? I don't know. And he's at the point where he's controlling. He's the head of the United States of America. So um, I only say that at a micro level, this is at a macro level. At a micro level, a person who follows um, the right way of worship towards the right objective of attaining happiness, for maybe another faith, it could be attaining heaven. The right way is or it'll dissuade the person from getting into cults. Because I've felt that a cult attracts people because people who are desperate for success, who are
Yeah.
desperate for shortcuts. You join us and we'll take you somewhere.
Yeah.
But once they're in, they're, they're reprogrammed. And there's
Yeah.
also one more thing I wanted to bring out specifically to this topic is there's a lot of fear. When we talk about certain cults, there's a lot of fear.
Yeah.
That's why in certain documentaries I've seen, despite they knowing, the people inside the cult, they knowing that things are not right, they can't go out. I've seen one documentary where a couple of people tried to, they were murdered, but it was all hushed up. And that's why the whole uh, the smell of the cult is negative because these things come up,
Yeah.
and people obviously get scared of these cults, and it is scary. These cults are really scary. That's why I'm going to reiterate that people who follow the right path, they'll take more time, but they'll probably reach the right objective, right goal.
See, also, if you look at other things, uh, Mayur, See, there's a lot of snooping that's happening.
mm,
Okay. Now,
yeah,
see this thing like Alexa, you know,
mm,
it's there, it's snooping in your, in your daily life almost every day.
yeah,
I saw a very weird movie, in which this Alexa is called Kimi, you know, and
uh,
how Kimi, controls completely the lives of these people, and how
mm,
it's quite a thriller where
mm,
if you're really high tech, you can understand how
mm,
Kimi
mm,
comes to the rescue in the end, but how
mm,
nothing is private anymore. Nothing is
true.
private. So
Yeah, yeah,
today, even if you think that you've got your ID, you live in a cozy house, you've got this, you've got that. No,
yeah. Mm.
people are snooping. They know everything about you, your tastes, even the color that you
Yeah,
like.
I'm just going to get you in into this particular television serial I saw, which was very much like this. It's called Person of Interest. You should check it out. Person of Interest, and it's about this guy who's on a wheelchair. He's not on a wheelchair. He can't walk properly. Wizard that he hacks into the cameras. And even the web cameras, and he's got a system. But his intention is very good. He solves crimes with the help of a commando, a guy who's like very physically fit. So they team up, the both of them. This guy, but then he snoops, right? And what I think you're trying to say is that today, we can't be very sure of being completely protected. I think we can be more protected from Satan's, but I'm not sure whether we'll be able to protect ourselves from being snooped.
But also
I know.
see, even this Mayur is related. It
Mm,
is
mm,
related to the people who are trying to control us. You
yeah,
see,
yeah, yeah.
it goes back to the families. They want to control COVID.
Mm,
They want to kill half the population. They want
mm,
to decide, how light the earth should be.
yeah,
So these are, see, it's all, we don't understand. But if you put all these things together, see, for
yeah.
example, why the hell would Rihanna or a porn star like Mia Khalifa be
Mm,
bothered about what the farmers are doing in India? Isn't
swear,
it?
seriously. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So who's
Absolutely.
controlling these people?
Mm,
And
mm,
there are lots of times, when pop stars,
mm,
they
mm,
say
mm, mm,
things, without realizing it,
yeah.
meaning they are controlled. They are
Mm, mm, mm,
slaves to a
mm,
system. So they are
true,
what do you say, they are brainwashed into
true,
speaking in a certain way.
true. Can I
you
just
know
bring something up here, something different,
yeah,
Meena? You know, I know you talk about this entity many times the entity because we talk about other topics. But while you were talking about this and how people get influenced to follow a particular cult, to follow a particular group, to follow, and if not, you're out. If not, in a typical cult, you might be, if you join in, you're with
yeah,
us. Otherwise, so I mean, I was reminded of Sushant Singh Rajput. And what I felt is, and this is, I don't speak a lot. I pray for his soul, but I'm feeling more, keen to speak about this. It's my perspective, Meena, that I was silently watching how he was. He was a voracious reader. He used to sing bhajans. He was somebody who loved to go beyond earth. I mean, I could relate to that. He had bought the world's, I think, one of the most expensive telescopes because he was sure that there is life beyond, like I am very sure,
yeah,
and he would really do that. But he couldn't become part of any kind of cult. You can hear me, no? You can see
yeah,
me.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. So when I look at Sushant Singh Rajput, I empathized with him because I feel that he wanted to liberate, not through his life going on, not that way. Liberate as in go beyond the typical thinking. Like he wanted to think beyond how
See,
a normal person would
okay,
think. He
now
wanted to
you've
go
taken that
explore.
yeah, you've
No,
taken that stand.
so I'm bringing. Yeah, I
Yeah,
what I felt was I just finished my
yeah,
point.
yeah,
What I
please,
felt
please.
was that yeah, what I felt was that Sushant Singh Rajput was for him acting was just one part of his so many facets of his life. A brilliant guy. He was thinking of even a software app as I silently studied him, to be honest, Meena, because I was trying to understand what happened. I'm not talking about what happened. I mean, that's sad. I'm sure he's at a better place. But I'm talking about he never wanting to be part of a particular group, and he wanted to, be on his own and still be part of the industry. And that's what I bring in, that he wanted to go beyond, and it caused a lot of, it cost him, I guess. But he for me is that person who went outside the realm of normal thinking. I look at it very positively. He went beyond. He was probably very spiritual, extremely spiritual, which is why so many people love him. And I could sense it, I could feel it. His humility, I had tears in my eyes when I saw how he would just talk to some. I remember this particular scene in YouTube or something. I saw that these beggars, they just picture, and he was naturally just there to, he never differentiated. And that's what made him, I think, so popular. The only thing is I felt is too soon, my brother. And I cried and I said too soon. When it happened, I was a little, I was a little upset with him. Like, why? Whatever. I'm not getting to the nitty gritties. I just felt too soon. But he must be
See,
on a different planet
yeah.
and doing something amazing. That's how. And I hope I'll meet him someday.
So, see, the way you say that when you come under people's control. Similarly, see, what was Donald Trump doing that was wrong? He was doing very well for his country. He was doing very good things. Okay, then this issue came up, black
Yeah, yeah.
life issue came up,
Black
and
matters.
yes,
Yeah.
and then what happened was
Mm,
completely the control went into the hands of
mm,
somebody else, and unknown people like Biden and Kamala Harris, who have absolutely no scope. They don't know what they are saying or what they're doing. Suddenly they came into control, and you never hear. See, earlier you used to hear people like Kennedy giving beautiful speeches and talking very brilliantly, and you have two people who can't even talk for nuts. You know,
yeah.
and Biden
Yeah.
is all the time looking more and more senile, and then to
Mm,
make you understand that he's very fit. He does a
mm,
small jog in the garden, to show that he's very fit,
mm, mm,
and that he's completely under control, because there are many times that he's crumpled at the when he climbs the aeroplane,
mm,
many times that that he's same as in Hillary Clinton, you know
mm, mm,
so
mm.
there is a complete control. They wanted to change America from a very
Right.
strong, strong country to, a controllable one where they can do what they want. And this is the
Mm,
same thing they have plans for in India. They don't
mm,
want someone strong like Modi. They want
mm.
someone like Kejriwal,
Yeah.
who they
Even
can
if you,
control.
yeah, even if you go beyond, why is, you know, Putin is somebody who represents that same strength.
Yes.
I'm not going to comment on the political aspects
Yeah,
between,
that we don't need to.
but I'm just looking at the personality, because
Yeah,
it's more of Biden versus Putin,
it's a
and
personality war.
it's a war, and Putin is too strong. He's too
Yeah.
smart. I mean, Putin probably has his own way of even. They say that Russia rigged the U.S. elections. Now, again, these are all conjectures. We don't know, but what I know, and you were you going to say something about Sushant as well when I was saying something? I don't know. I thought you were trying to say something. No, okay. So because that's my point of view, I just brought Sushant Singh Rajput only in a context that he probably was out, thank God, and he wanted his own space. And there are other people also in the industry, a couple of them my friends as well, who don't get into this. They do their movies and they're out of it. And I think it's tough, but it's something that gives them the peace of mind. Yeah, yeah. We can look at some of the comments probably that are coming. I think you're muted.
Even,
Yeah,
Karthik says, even JFK was assassinated by the cabal. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, and even if you look at Marilyn Monroe, she was planted in JFK's life, to destroy him.
yeah,
These are
yeah.
all,
Absolutely.
you look at how was Michael Jackson killed? How was Prince killed?
Yeah,
People who do
absolutely.
not sort of fall in line are destroyed.
Tell me, how how is it for Meena? You bring this big context of a cult, and then you bring in countries, right? The country. people at the high levels are also part of, not part
Yes,
of a cult,
yes.
but the influence. Like, what's your take on that? Because see, I have looked at this from a more mid macro point of view.
See, I'll
Cults,
tell you. See,
groups.
Mayur, just like you, I watch a lot of these documentaries on YouTube and all that. I've been studying Michael Jackson's story in detail. You know,
Mm,
and
mm,
see, if you look at Michael Jackson's life, it has been a very miserable one. Okay,
mm,
as small children, his father used to take them to these top political heads, and they
mm.
were sexually abused every day, small
Oh,
kids, you know, and they didn't know why they
mm,
had to undergo the ordeal. So
mm,
his childhood has been terrible. So,
mm,
see, why would these politicians want to use these children? So they have already identified that Michael Jackson is a genius. Okay.
mm,
Now he's
mm,
going to influence so many people. Now he has to
mm,
be controlled. Okay.
mm.
The more people influence, the more influential they are, the better for
Yeah.
us, to
Mm.
get them into our fold. So it's
True.
ultimately getting them all to your thinking, you know.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you can call it whatever you want, you can call it Illuminati or Satanic cult or
Mm,
whatever,
mm,
but they are the
mm,
same. They are the same.
mm.
If you're looking, see these small pockets are there in UK. They say the royal family, blah 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 blah. So there are people all over there who are controlling.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
many stories where they say that small kids are used as playthings, in the palace,
Mm,
and they hunt
mm. My God.
little children. So these things are
Mm,
happening. I mean, all these things are happening, but the main thing, is that these few families are trying to control the world, whether it
yeah.
is a plague, whether it's a COVID, whether it's the war. I mean, who wanted this war with Ukraine?
Mm,
Nobody wanted. And what is Ukraine? Ukraine is known as a place where women and children are trafficked. It is a center, hub of trafficking. It is a center of money laundering,
mm.
and the maximum amount of business being done is by Biden's son himself, Hunter Biden. You see, so this is
My God.
all. There is so much to
Yeah.
it that these people are all, hiding from us. And
Mm,
then they say
mm.
Putin came and attacked Ukraine. That's not the story. There's so
Yeah.
much more to it. You know,
You.
you put Putin in a corner. You know,
Yeah.
and he was just trying to rescue his country.
Yeah. True. True.
Yeah,
True.
and don't
See.
think that he's so
Mm,
weak.
exactly. Oh no, no. I think they've messed up the wrong guy. They've
Yeah.
messed up with the wrong guy. Um, coming back to the subject of the satanic cults, I'm putting a question for all of us to think about: is it that not just the greed, not just the desire to merge with, please the gods and attain heaven? I think these, as you say, these people, they're part of certain cults and they're driven with a greed for geography, the greed for resources. That's, if you
Here,
just go back.
now I'll tell
Yeah.
you, I'll tell you something that I don't know. You're not going to agree with it, okay?
Okay.
Because see, you've got your own, thinking, and you write brilliantly and all that. See, let me. I mean, it's something that's been troubling me. Okay, I respect Sadhguru as a spiritual guru. Okay,
Mm,
there are some things I've noticed about him which has started upsetting me. And I've been writing about it on Twitter as well as in my shows. Now, obviously, they've got upset. So they contacted me. Okay. So
mm,
some of the things that I said was that I've never seen him wear a kabi, just saffron. Okay.
mm,
I've never
mm,
seen a Shiva or a Parvati. I've never actually seen pictures. There maybe, I don't know, of deities of Shiva and
mm,
Parvati inside ashram. Okay.
mm,
Then during the Shivaratri, songs of Maula, you know, were played, and
mm,
people like Kangana were dancing to it. Now that's a
mm,
Muslim song, okay?
mm,
And
mm,
on Shivaratri, it's only Lord Shiva or our own deities, their songs. So that was also something which really upset a lot of us. Okay. Then you have someone who's a very small starlet, you know, putting her head on his lap. Now, is he a spiritual guru, or is he trying to do PR for this lady?
mm,
Okay. Then he takes his motorbike and he starts this world tour from Europe to say that he's going to save soil. Now,
mm,
why does he remind me of Greta Thunberg and all these people together? Why I'm saying is that he belongs to India. There are so many other issues in India that can be tackled. Okay, I'm not saying
mm,
he's doing a lot of good work. I respect him. Everything is there,
mm,
but
mm,
there are a lot of questions that I want to ask him. Okay,
mm,
and I did ask for him to appear on our channel, but he never appeared. He goes to Barkadat.
mm,
He goes to other people, and he gives them very, very wise answers because he is an intelligent man,
mm,
you know.
mm,
But
mm,
does he think that my channel is too small for him to come? And I asked them. So immediately the answer was, we'll go back to his PR team, or what you call the, I don't know, some specific corporate word that they used to say that we'll consult them and come back. Now, if he is just a plain,
mm,
simple ascetic, he can just say that I'll come. Oh, let me answer Mina's questions. What are the problems that she has? Let me answer them. Now, why go through this whole thing? So then, what set me, sort of this thing is that someone said that Sadhguru is a part of the Illuminati in our channel. Okay. Then,
okay.
yes, that set me thinking. Okay. And these things started coming into my mind. And that's when I asked. Then these people got perturbed. And then I asked them that, see, let him come, a face-to-face interview, or even,
Mm,
just a interview like what
mm,
we're doing.
mm,
And
mm,
after that, there's been no response. Probably he's traveling, with his soil issue, and
mm,
maybe when
mm,
he comes back, he will return. But problems are, there are two gurus in India who do not wear kavi, and that is Sri Sri and this guru. Okay,
mm,
and they do not have deities in their ashram. Okay,
mm,
and I would rather. I'm not saying that I respect them and all that, but I would rather follow gurus who give me a deeper sense of meaning to what I want to know.
mm,
Okay,
mm,
which means my Puranas. Why I should meditate, who should I reach out to, and what am I aspiring to be. I want intelligent answers. Okay,
right,
but these,
right.
unfortunately, these gurus have been sidelined in our
Mm,
country. Some have been put in jail, some have been removed from the country, you know,
yeah,
and
yeah,
some, are in hiding
true,
because
true.
they are not safe in a Hindu country like
Mm,
India.
true, true.
So this is something I had to get off my chest.
Can I just
Yeah, please,
share something
please.
which
Yeah.
which will be, I know all of you are watching, which will be a sadhaka to a sadhaka. So
Mm.
to Meena, not as a person who's been invited, but as a sadhaka, as a student, one student to the other student. And what I like is the fact that we can, you know, put our points across. So when you speak about this person, Sadhguru, I'm not going to rebut you and all that stuff because I'm only listening and absorbing and I share some things. Like I remember the time where I was many years back, I was exposed to exposed as in I got to hear and listen to something called inner engineering. And there were a lot of corporate programs because I'm a corporate trainer, right, by profession. So I was getting to know that in a company where I went to do my kind of communication skills and etc. etc. So they said, oh, we've sent some of our boys to this session called inner engineering. And so from that point of view, when I met them, these people who came back and they said, yeah, it was very good, But the only thing was that they need to practice. Like for example, in art of living, then you have Kriya, yoga, and etc. You need to practice. You can only learn the bicycle there. You need to yourself bicycle later. So I always have had this understanding of, say, Sadhguru as somebody who is giving opportunities to a lot of people to at least understand that there is something called spirituality at that level. Maybe, Meena, where you come from, you're already deep into spirituality. And what I sense is that because you're there, look at your questions, right? You're asking a question which people will not even understand, a lot of them. Ki,
Mm.
the orange, why not? Okay. So I felt that when you mentioned this, is there are sannyasis who wear, they have to, right? Because they get initiated into sannyasa. And there are some who on their own decide not to follow celibacy and be completely at the feet of the Lord.
No,
They
they
don't want
said
to
he's
get
not a
married.
sannyasi. They said he's not a
Oh, is
sannyasi.
it? Okay, okay. But when I say sannyasa, then because my guru is a sannyasi, right? A yogi. They carry a danda. So if you in that lineage, so I'm talking about a particular tradition, right? The Adi Shankaracharya
Yeah.
tradition. So when I see my guru with the danda, then that is how I look at the purity, the yogi. But there could be people who are not sannyasis but are following in that way. So I'm not really defending anybody. I'm just saying that it could be that way of representing oneself. And as a sadhaka, you're saying, where is the orange robe? Because we would typically look at people who enlighten
No,
us
no.
that way.
The orange robe, as Yogi ji very clearly says, is a symbol of sacrifice.
Yeah,
You've given up everything.
yeah, yeah.
The world of materialism, the world of everything. You know,
That's true.
you've given up
True.
everything, and that's what
True.
what
No, I'm
Yogi ji
sorry.
said. You know what
Yeah,
Yogi
yeah.
ji said when they were going to get him a car as a CM. He said, "I don't care about the car, but what I care about is on the seat there should be a saffron cloth because that represents sacrifice."
Yeah. True. True. True.
Yeah.
No, somebody was just
See,
saying that the
I'll tell
inner
you. No,
engineering.
I still
Sorry.
want to. I still want to tell you, Mayur, something. See,
Sure.
you know, whether it's your guru or my guru, if a person comes to them, be it a very poor man or a very rich Sith, yeah, the treatment should be the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Actually.
as Sadhguru and all, they grow bigger and bigger and bigger. They do not see the smaller ones. That is when you have lost your purpose.
Mm,
You see, when money becomes all in all, okay, for Shivaratri, I need so much donation. For this, I need so much donation. Okay, that's going to make, okay, you're doing good things, very good things, you're doing charity, all that. But still, it's not everything. You're telling us, throw everything out.
mm.
So it's contradicting what you're saying.
Yeah. You know what if I can put a closure to this particular
Yeah, yeah,
subject, I can only say that I hope and pray that you'll have Sadhguru on your channel, because that's the best. No, when he's there to answer your questions, that's the best.
yeah,
Maybe he'll have things to share which will make you understand, or all of us understand what it is, right?
yeah.
Because you have certain specific questions, and I'm sure it will. Maybe it's because of time, because I've seen that he even is on podcasts.
Mm.
He comes on podcasts, and he'll and he answers questions for the youngsters. I hope that he'll come and join you, and you'll have a very genuinely constructive conversation, because these are not questions are just asking for the sake of it. You really feel it, and you're not trying to throw stones of criticisms on him. You're basically putting the questions and saying,
Yeah.
help me understand. And I'm sure that's what it is. The intention is very pure from your side, Meena.
See, for
But
example, Mayur,
mm,
if you are very famous and you have a
mm,
very, very large following, okay,
mm,
and I want to use you to push my channel,
mm,
okay, I'm not I'm not working in your interest or my interest, okay.
mm,
It's a very, very single-minded thing. So if you latch on to an actress just because she has these numbers, and these are also
mm,
bought. Actually, Mayur, these numbers are bought. They these million numbers and all are all bought. Okay, so if you feel that you're going to reach out to so many followers, that's
mm,
also wrong. you know that's also wrong. It's very
mm,
cheap. you know I don't want someone like Shah Rukh Khan pushing my channel. It'll give the
mm.
wrong message.
Yeah,
you know
true, true, true. So coming back to our the cults. I think even if you look at the art of living, or if you look at Sadhguru's, uh, what do you call the group?
See, look at
He
this.
has massive.
See,
Yeah.
What Maharani is saying. They said claim free Rudraksha after Shivratri. But when I logged in, I had to donate to get the Rudraksha.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
So
which
why
is
the
really
wrong message? Why the wrong message? This was going widely up and down, you know. And he was
interesting.
blessing all those Rudrakshas with all the leaves and everything, with so much of
Yeah.
paraphernalia, like it was a ritual. Why
Mhm.
do Rudrakshas have to be blessed? Anyway, Rudrakshas are blessed. They come blessed.
That's true. But Meena, I have to tell you this that I have come across some people who have told me genuinely that they have been very beautifully, positively impacted by Sadhguru's words and sessions. Huh? I'm not trying. I'm not giving you a contrary view as such. I'm
No,
just saying
no.
that.
Even if you do,
See,
it's
at that,
fine. See, we are here
and
to, yeah,
yeah, but I'm being very honest with you that
yeah.
see at that level where they get charged up, they get to understand and do something that's spiritual, which is great. Like you yourself said, he's doing some good work as well. See, I always say I follow my guru. My guru is my mother. Everybody else are my uncles and aunts. I'm very focused. That's why I don't talk much because I have to meditate. But here, because this point was brought up, and of course some questions definitely, that's why I said I hope that you get to pose these questions as well because you're also a journalist, right? So he it will be great, and I'm sure he will, because he comes across as a very affable person. Like he's chilled out, he's actually chilled out, and he's I've seen him taking very tough questions as well. I remember once I went to Mumbai. My ex-boss took me there. By It was a session by Suhail Seth, and Suhail Seth was asking pretty searching tough questions, straight away, off the cuff. And Sadhguru's one thing is he's able to reply as effectively. But I think your questions are more as a student of spirituality. That's what I felt. More of somebody who's practicing. And therefore, but I think this session really has been very different, where we've talked about not just the cults which are the cults, like we talked about Om Shinrikyo and certain cults that are a little church related, etc. But we have opened it up to the fact that certain people of certain cults want to even influence powerful people towards attaining the goal, which is to do with greed. So I think it's been a sort of very wide kind of a discussion, isn't it, Meena? Very
Yeah.
different.
A
Maybe
question
this
for
this
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
How can one polish certain skills if gifted with psychic abilities or able to drive outside environment through manifestation at certain frequency, astral travel? Thank you.
How can one polish certain skills if gifted with psychic abilities? Um, that's one question. See, Anuradha, I am only going to speak as a student of spirituality because that gives me the courage to speak out, okay? Because I don't like to read and parrot it out. What I know is the best way to polish psychic, or what one would call is beyond the normal, okay, like telepathic thinking and enhancing intuitive abilities, astral travel, all this one can master by thorough, intense, and structured, extremely intense meditation. Now, and second is it has to be done under the tutelage of a master. It's like if you want to, if suppose somebody says, I want to learn martial arts and I want to polish and become a black belt, you just can't become that way. You need a master, right? You need a teacher, and then you need your penance. You need to do your your practices, everything, but you need a teacher. So that's how I would respond to Anuradha's question. Is the best way to polish is meditation. Spiritual practices can be enhanced and strengthened, I believe, or sort of taken to a different level only through the meditational practices, which are of different kinds. Even Tibetan monks, they practice. Again, by the way, um, for example, the Tibetan, not Tibetan, what is it called? The martial arts, the monks, the Shaolin. That's also a cult, but a
Yeah.
good one, because that's a group of people who believe in, and they were created to protect, that the provinces in China, and they learned that through the Tibetan influences,
Yeah.
and that itself is another way of understanding a positive cult,
Yeah.
where they follow
Yeah.
something which actually gives them a lot of
Yeah.
and physical strength.
Yeah. See, here also I'd like to tell the viewers that, see, it's because, Sanatana Dharma gives us the freedom to question our gurus, to question anything. Okay, see, you will not
Yeah,
see
yeah,
this kind of debate
of
with other
course.
religions. because where
Absolutely.
pastors or mullahs, are questioned on
Yeah.
their beliefs or whatever they do. So please
Hmm.
understand that, see, when we ask these questions, it's not to malign anybody, to ask them what is the
Yeah.
reason for certain things.
Sure.
So it is
Sure.
not to malign anybody. So please do not misunderstand. And
Mm.
at every level there are gurus for different people.
Yeah.
When you
See,
go
at
and
least.
find the
Yeah.
right person, then your journey is
Right.
over.
Right, right. Which is why I said a lot of people are genuinely positively affected by the teachings of the Sadguru because they need that at that level. I'm not saying we are at some great level. We are all students, right? So somebody is in the seventh standard, somebody is in the ninth standard, somebody is in the second standard, somebody is doing PhD, but we are all students. And like you said, we need to have the masters
Yeah.
at different levels. And one thing at least I acknowledge and appreciate is, Veena, you said, and this is for all the people who are watching, is you said it here straight away that I'm on the channel where I can pose the questions. So it's not like you're just, shooting over somebody's shoulder. You're saying, let me have a chat. And that I think says everything, right? Because you're willing to straight away put up the questions. And that happens everywhere in terms of journalists asking questions. But I think our faith also is such that it gives us the openness to rebut or to argue in a
Yeah.
positive way.
I'll tell you something, Mayur. See, when I was with Nityananda Swami, I used to ask so many questions, and I used to
Mm,
always feel it's not only me, lot of intelligent people from IIT and all those doctors and all that. They used to all ask him questions, and he would never get tired. He would
mm,
never
mm.
get tired of answering them because,
Right.
he had this immense knowledge,
Mm,
and he didn't mind answering you and telling you. He never made you feel that you were an ignorant fool. He always
yeah.
told you that, see, each and every question that you asked
Mm,
is important to me, and I'll answer it according to your understanding. So if
mm.
you're, really, not educated, he'll tell you at that level. If you're
Right.
educated, it will go to another level. So, for example, let me just tell you one thing before we close. I asked
Yeah.
Swamiji that, see, when all these things are going to happen to you, this persecution, everything is going to happen to you. You can see it,
Mm, mm, mm.
you know, yet you did not do anything beforehand to stop it. So he said, I have to go. This is the path. I have to undergo that, even though I know these things are going to happen. You know,
Really?
so that's when I said, my God, it's just,
Mm,
absolutely, blew me away. You know,
mm.
it happens to you, Mayur, and it happens to me. But when
Yeah.
when you can see all this,
Mm, mm, mm.
see, when you look in retrospect at what the things you did in your past, many things you could have avoided. But you know, these people like your guru or my guru actually know this is going to happen and they have to undergo it.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Absolutely. But that is why they are the gurus, right? They have attained that level of clairvoyance or having visions. They don't use it, right? They don't use their own strengths because they have to go through it. It's part of their prarabdha. All right. And on a concluding note, I'll say, Meena, that every group of people who follow something very intensely is is a part of a positive, or if they follow it but use wrong means, it's either a positive or a negative group or a cult. And I
Yeah,
think people who go through out of their greed or their desperation to go through something very quickly and they do wrong things, that I think is what has to change, Meena. So for me, when we spoke about having this topic, it was, for me, it was not just listing down different cults in the world and talking about it. Was not about statistics and information. It's very easy to give information because it's available on Google. It was about a discussion as to what are these cults and are there positive cults as well. It's like a word selfish. The word selfish always has a negative connotation, isn't it? But actually selfish is about yourself. It's about you doing something for yourself, for your family. So, in some sense, you're positively selfish. Similarly, I feel, Meena, that we have been programmed to understand cult in a negative way because that's all we hear. But no, today, any faith and different maybe ways of following your faith is a group that is doing something, but as long as they're doing it in the right way, using their own means without harming others, I think that's the positive cult. Maybe on that note, I'll sort of put in my
There you
final. But
go.
this was a pretty strong session. I like that as well. we
Absolutely.
went we went to US, we went to Russia, we went to Iraq, we went to Japan. I mean, it was broad, but it was all contextualized.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel this is a far more broader topic because it's got the black magic aspect to it. It's got the Freemasons aspect to it. It's got the Soroses to it. It's got so much to it, isn't it? And I think that's why spending 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 5 hours or whatever, but I would say 5, 10 minutes just to meditate. I think with all this going on, we also spoke about snooping and stuff. With all this going on, I think it's all the more reason that we spend at least some time every day to create our own cult within, So I have created a new cult, Meena. It's called my body. So I'm getting all the organs of my body and my brain to follow. So for me, my followers are my own organs. And when I meditate, I talk to them. I said, come on, let's follow and make ourselves sort of reach whatever that we want to spiritually. Because there's so much happening now around me now. Like if you really look at it, it's like just confuses us, yeah, scares us as well.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just saying that it has.
Yeah, I think you're going to say your sloka or your mantra.
Oh yes, okay, yes. I think all the more reason to say the shloka protection. So before I do that, let me say just once again thank you to you, Meena, for creating this lovely platform for open discussions. Um, Even if people haven't participated by coming on the show, but they've participated by thinking and writing their points. So I want to thank all of you. Karthik, you've always been there. Maharani, she keeps sharing good thoughts.
Yeah.
Shilpa, a lot of you. Martin, I think, was there. So to all of you, thank you so much for sort of joining in. And I'd like to conclude from my side by reciting a shloka, my way of thanking all of you. Om Aim Hring Shring Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Aim Hring Shring Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Maunavyakhya Prakatita Parabrahmatattvam Yuvanam Varsishthante Vasat Rishiganaiः Avratam Brahmanishthaiः आचार्येन्द्रं करकलितचिन्मुद्रमानन्दमूर्तिम् स्वात्मा रामं मुदितवदनं दक्षिणामूर्तिमीडे ॐ शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायण भाष्यकृतं वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः ॐ नमः पार्वतीपतये हर हर महादेव ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
think when we do this, all the negative cults and all, they just vaporize here. That's the best way, to protect ourselves. So yeah, thanks Meena for one more lovely session. I'm sorry I couldn't make it last Monday, but at least we do this, and hopefully we'll have another interesting subject for the next time. Yeah, there are quite a
Absolutely.
few subjects, so that way. Thank you so much.
Thank you and good night, Mayur.
Yeah, good night. See you,
Good
everybody.
night. Good night.